Assalamu alaikum, dear audience. We are meeting after a long time, and now we are coming with the plan for you the motivational videos. And at first, we make the selection of the book, The 5-Second Rule by Mel Robbins. This book comprised 5 parts and 17 chapters. We will make short videos of 5 to 10 minutes on each chapter and we'll upload. Now it's a turn of the first chapter of this book. We are presenting the video. Please make comments and provide feedback regarding the video. So thank you.
Let me introduce you to the creator of the concept, Mel Robbins. And what's really fascinating here is how she actually stumbled onto this. She didn't engineer it in some fancy university psychology lab. No, she discovered it about 7 years ago when her own life was completely falling apart. Her problems felt so incredibly overwhelming that she really just needed a way to beat her snooze button habit every single morning. She actually thought the rule was totally silly the first time she tried it, but little did she know she had just invented a tool that would change everything. And we need to talk about just how severe her rock bottom actually was. We aren't talking about a minor slump here. Her marriage was seriously struggling. Her finances were literally in the gutter. We're talking bouncing checks at the grocery store. Her career had completely stalled out, and her self-esteem was just gone. The weight of her life was so heavy that the physical act of getting out of bed was a daily battle. And this is a really crucial point to keep in mind because it makes the tool so accessible. I mean, if it can pull you up from the absolute bottom, it can work for anyone, anywhere. So what's the actual mechanism? How do you do it? Well, it all comes down to a literal countdown. Step 1, you notice an instinct to act on a goal or a positive commitment. Step 2, you just count backwards. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And step 3, you physically move. That's the whole shebang. It immediately pushes you right out of your own head. It interrupts your default behavior, totally bypassing the doubt, the worry, and all those excuses your brain naturally whips up. It basically replaces all that paralyzing overthinking with a massive bias toward taking action. And the results? Honestly, they're staggering. Mel used this exact 5-second trick to go from bouncing checks to literally having 7 figures in the bank. She went from constantly fighting with her husband to celebrating 20 years of a really happy marriage. She completely cured her own anxiety, built and sold 2 small businesses, landed spots on CNN and Success magazine, and became one of the most in-demand speakers in the world. She shook up her entire life by mastering just one single thing: how to change. But the real beauty of what we're looking at in this explainer is that this isn't just Mel's story. Let's run through some rapid-fire proof from everyday people. Take Margaret, for example. She used the rule on a morning when she just wasn't feeling it, and it gave her that exact push she needed to throw her shoes on and hit the treadmill. And it's brilliant for finances and productivity too. Laura used it to stop making excuses, which ultimately increased her cash flow by $4,000 a month, helped her finish her degree, and even gave her the push to go hike 4,000-foot mountains. I mean, no way, right? The applications expand way beyond just fixing your morning routine. It's a real game changer for instantly stepping outside your comfort zone. Ken, for instance, learned about the rule at a conference and used it that very same day to walk up and introduce himself to major movers and shakers in his industry. Then you have Alan, who used the 5-second trick at a PGA Tour event to network with a dozen folks that he openly admits he never ever would have spoken to otherwise. It's also a massive driver for sales and professional innovation. Imagine needing to cold call C-level executives. Terrifying, right? But Matthew used the countdown to find the nerve to make those calls and send those emails. And the craziest part is they actually responded. Meanwhile, Crystal had her entire USAA sales team start utilizing the rule. And the result? Her team jumped straight to the #1 spot in their entire location. Absolutely huge. It is equally potent when it comes to emotional control and leadership. Jenna uses it as a mom. Whenever she feels like snapping at our kids, she uses the countdown to find 5 seconds of patience instead. She also uses it to conquer the intimidation she feels running her direct sales business. And then you have leaders like Muz. He recognized just how powerful this is for building confidence, so he actually gathered his entire staff in a boardroom to teach them this exact technique to boost their motivation and self-monitoring. Now, let's slow down for just a second, because this rule isn't just about productivity. It's about realizing those lifelong dreams we all have. For decades, Mark had this amazing idea to bring ice hockey to inner city kids. But you know how it goes? He kept pulling the emergency brake on his own idea. He was just procrastinating. After learning this rule, he finally got the idea out of his head and turned it into action. He partnered up with former Olympians and NHL alumni and created the Hockey in the Streets program, running clinics all over New England. Just 5 seconds. That was all it took to finally start. The applications of this tool get even deeper. And frankly, they can be life-saving. Let's look at this message from Bill. Bill was struggling with severe addiction, and he happened to stumble across the 5-second rule on a Reddit thread. He later called it the right message, right place, right time. He started using the countdown trick to literally interrupt his overwhelming urge to drink. And by applying that simple 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 countdown, Bill managed to string those tiny moments of courage together. Because of that, he successfully celebrated his 40th birthday completely sober, navigating social functions and all of life's typical stresses. It really proves that this incredibly simple tool is profoundly effective, even in something as monumental as the battle against addiction. And there are moments where 5 seconds literally means the difference between life and death. A colleague shared a really poignant emotional story in the source material. After splitting with his wife, he fell into a very deep, dark depression. It escalated to the point where he actually contemplated suicide. But at his absolute lowest point, he somehow found the courage to count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And that tiny action gave him just enough momentum to put it down and call for help. A 5-second decision literally saved his life. So you might be wondering, how does this actually work in our minds? Let's shift the focus a bit. Have you ever heard David Foster Wallace's famous 2005 commencement address at Kenyon College? He tells this great joke about 2 young fish swimming along. They pass an older fish who nods and says, "Morning, boys. How's the water?" The 2 young fish swim on for a bit, and eventually, one looks at the other and asks, "What the hell is water?" The whole point of that fish story is that the most obvious, important realities in our lives are often the hardest ones to actually see and talk about. For all of us, the hardest reality to see is the very nature of change itself. We constantly wonder why it is so incredibly difficult to make ourselves do the things we know we really should do, but the reality we are all swimming in is that you are always, constantly, just one 5-second decision away from a completely different life. The reason we struggle so much really comes down to a battle between your brain and your heart. See, when you have an instinct to act, your brain is literally programmed to protect you. Within 5 seconds, your mind will swoop in and kill your idea with doubt, excuses, worry, or fear. You actually become the problem. But the 5-second rule forces you to make what's called a heart-first decision. It completely bypasses the brain's defense mechanisms and forces you to honor your instincts with immediate action. Let me show you exactly what a heart-first decision looks like in practice. This is Catherine's story. Back in 1990, her sister Tracy was tragically killed, leaving behind 2 little kids, aged 4 and just 18 months old. Catherine came home to help out. And when she walked through the door and her 18-month-old niece hugged her, she made a 5-second decision right then and there to raise those kids as her own. She adopted them. She calls it a total no-brainer because in that specific moment, her brain wasn't even involved. Her heart spoke first, and she just listened. When you boil it all down, this is the true definition of everyday courage. Courage is simply the ability to do something that is difficult or scary. It means purposely stepping outside of your comfort zone. It means sharing your ideas, speaking up, and standing firm in your beliefs. And, some days, courage is just having the sheer willpower to get out of bed. It takes effort to discover this power within yourself, but doing it, that part is incredibly simple. Which brings us to the end of our explainer today, and I really want to leave you with this final provocative thought. The greatness you're looking for is already inside of you. The 5-second rule, it just gives you the clarity to hear it and the courage to actually act on it. So your heart has spoken. The countdown has officially started. What are you going to do with your next 5 seconds?